Hi friends, I'm Flutter. In this video, I'm going to show you how I created the water effect in VIVERSE for my World Mermaid Song. In order to publish to VIVERSE, I created a project in PlayCanvas, which is right here. Now, PlayCanvas uses JavaScript and GLSL or OpenGL, so unfortunately, your Unity shaders will not work. I took a look at my Unity project, and there was an asset that I installed that someone created. I believe it's by BitGem. Even though I couldn't bring this all into PlayCanvas, I just took a look at all the different parameters and even this normal map that was being used, and then thought, well, how can I translate this into PlayCanvas? I often use ChatGPT and Claude AI to help me with code and to help me problem solve sometimes. And in this case, I was trying to figure out, well, how can I get what was created in Unity into PlayCanvas? So I described a lot of that to ChatGPT, and we went through a lot of original code first that didn't work. And then I started searching online for examples, and I would find some JavaScript and I would go through some tutorials, and then I go back to ChatGPT and Claude and I'd say, hey, can we try this? And we would go back and forth quite a bit, but nothing was really working. And I just kept looking at forums and downloading free examples and just kept going until I finally landed on this ship viewer. So it was made by Will, it says right here. Will Escott. So thank you, Will. And created this water scene here with a ship in it. And I really liked the water. And it seemed like from all the different items that were in here that it was going to be the easiest to implement after I went through so many different examples and trial and error. Now, what you can do is if someone has a project that is public, so Will was kind enough to make this a public project, and you can fork this to your account. So that's what I did. I pressed fork, and then if you look at my account, there's see some other water I was trying too. Then the project is copied into here. Now you don't have to worry about messing up the original because this is now your own copy and you can do whatever you want with it. So what I did is I took the elements from here that I really wanted to use and brought them into my project Mermaid Song. Before we get into the setup, I just want to thank ViVERSE for sponsoring this video and commissioning me to create the World Mermaid Song. Thank you so much. Let's see how I set this up in PlayCanvas. After I copied over the elements that I wanted to use from the ship viewer project, I created a plane. On that water plane, I added a component, a script, and it was the water script from that other project. Then I needed a material. So let's take a look at the material that I'm using for this. So the material that I applied to the plane has some different things on it. So let's go through everything so I don't miss anything. All right. So ambient, there's really nothing in there. Diffuse, I do have a color here. Okay. Specular, I have a color also. Emissive, I do too. Not sure the emissive is getting picked up though. And then the opacity, the blend type is alpha, and the intensity is at 0.8. And then for the normal map, I used a PNG, water normal 2. I don't know where I got that from. I don't think it's from the ship viewer project. I think it's from one of the other free projects that I was looking at. What I like about this particular PNG water normal image is there's some good black space in this, and it's not super detailed, and I think that's what's possibly giving me this really nice stylized or more chunky color look, and I really like that. I also have it tiling at 10 by 10 and then a bumpiness of just point 0.3. I don't think there's anything else in here. And then for the environment cube map, I'm using the exact same cube map that I'm using for the sky, which in Unity you would call the skybox. And so that's reflecting as if the water is reflecting the sky. So I did that and I kept the reflectivity at 1. And then I don't have anything there, but something important too, let's get to this next, is I have everything checked and I have the cull mode on back faces. Hey everyone, I need to interrupt myself. After recording this video, I noticed that I forgot to mention something important. Make sure you have the water normal shader file included in your assets folder along with the script and material. Without it, the shader won't work properly in your project. Also, I want to clarify something about the basis files. These files weren't in the original PlayCanvas project I forked from, but I ended up needing them in my version to ensure the shader works and texture compression is handled correctly. If you're working with a similar setup, you may need to add these files manually. To make things easier, I've created a clean, standalone project with just this water effect. You can fork it, use it, and it'll work right out of the box without any extra setup needed. I'll drop the link to this adapted project in the description below so you can get started right away. I wanted this to be double-sided so that when the player starts walking from the shoreline and starts slowly going onto the continental shelf and walking underwater, that they would also see the water underneath the surface when they looked up. Now, you're not going to see it in the editor view here, but it does show up when you actually publish it and actually play the game. You can see that the effect is working. So that was a good quick check to make sure it's working. One thing I would suggest is to publish right to VIVERSE and then check it in VIVERSE also, because that's ultimately where it's going to end up. And sometimes lighting can appear a little bit different in VIVERSE. So you do want to make sure you're not just checking in PlayCanvas, but you're going into the final result. Kind of like if you were to put a build on your headset. That double-sided ability or functionality, it was not available in the code that I got from that other project. So I did have to put one line of code to make sure that it would show up. So if you look at line 16 here, it is this.mat.cull equals pc.cullfacenut. And that's how I was able to get the water to appear on both sides. But just make sure that, you have cull mode on back faces. Something that I really like about how this ended up looking is that when you're standing on the land and you just take a look into the water, you can see coral, you can see a little bit of the plants, and I really loved that effect. The speed and the way everything was moving, the way that it was originally coded, I really did like it. So the speed is at negative 0.05, and then there's some other values down here for how the water appears and moves. If we go back into the project, you'll see that the script is just there. There's no fields here to change the value of the speed or anything. If you do want to do that, then I would suggest you're going to have to add attributes in here so that they show up in the inspector. But I personally just really already liked the values that were in this because it gave that serene look. It made it appear that there wasn't a lot of activity around the island and it was just really calm. So I didn't change anything. But if you prefer that, definitely make sure you add attributes. There were some other options that I looked into. If you go to the PlayCanvas documentation, there are a lot of great tutorials on this site. and one of them being the animated textures. Now, I did use the animated textures concept for the caustics. So when you go underwater, you can see those caustics. Do check out their tutorials because you may find things that you can alter that will work for your project. Then I also thought about using the PlayCanvas shader editor, but that failed too because I just couldn't find a way to launch the shader editor from the project. And then I didn't see where you could put a base or diffuse color, and I just figured I really like this other project and I can work with it, so I used that ship viewer project ultimately. Even if you don't know GLSL or OpenGL, I hope that this inspired you to be resourceful and see what's out there that you can use and alter and edit to work in your project. Thank you, Vivers, for sponsoring this video. And thank you to my subscribers and everyone who supports this channel. Best of luck on creating your VIVERSE world, and I'll see you next time.